And hello everybody, welcome back to the channel guys. We got some breaking news over the last hour and a half or so. We got an update, of course, as you probably know now, that there's been a suspected terror attack outside, of course, a Jewish synagogue. It was essentially a ramming attack followed by a knife attack. Initial reports suggested that 4 people were injured. However, we got some major updates with regard to this. We're going to be taking some time to go through some of the updated stories and the updated revelations with regard to this attack, and of course going through the latest updates that are currently ongoing. But unfortunately, we have got confirmation that 2 members of the public who were attacked outside the Jewish synagogue have actually been killed. There's a further 3 that are in critical condition, and this story is starting to, as this story is starting to develop, we're starting to hear more revelations from this. At the time of recording this right now, the bomb disposal team is still working. We haven't got an all clear just yet from Manchester or from the military. When the military bomb disposal have come in to the scene, and they've been there for the last hour. Of course, a video that surfaced of the attack showed members of the public essentially shouting and saying that the guy had a bomb before the police, then all the armed police, shot the perpetrator and the attacker dead. So we've got 2 members of the public who were attacked dead. We've also got the attacker actually dead himself as well. And on further on this, we've got 3 other people in critical condition. Let's just have a little watch of this video of the actual attack happening quick, and we're going to get into some more of this, get some more reaction from X, but loads and loads of stuff currently ongoing as we are currently live. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, guys, for more breaking news content just like this. But have a watch of this.
Fucking hell, they just...
Everybody else, get back! If you're not involved, move back! Get away! Somebody stay with casualties! Everybody else, he has a floor! Go away!
He's got a bomb on him! He's got a bomb! Mate, he's got a... Man, he's got a bomb on his fucking jacket, mate! He's trying to go into school! Mate, he stabbed him! No, he's got a bomb! Get the fuck out of here! Mate, if he detonates that... Mate, I'm just jumping out of this in a minute. He's going to blow himself up. He's trying to press the button. Lad, fucking shoot him! Fucking hell. He's got bombs on him. He's got fucking bombs attached to him. Fucking hell. Get the fuck out of here while he's got bombs. Mate, he's dead on the floor. What the fuck? Wow, fuck it.
So as you can see there, that was the unfolding of the moment that actually happened, there where an individual had been shot. Of course, you've seen someone laying there on the ground, which I think is obviously one of the deceased, as the news came out that 2 people have been killed. Sorry for the blur, but unfortunately we need to respect the victim, and of course YouTube doesn't allow such graphic content on their channel. But this took place on the holiest day in the Jewish calendar, Yom Kippur. And Greater Manchester Police have confirmed that 2 members of the public have lost their lives, while 3 others remain in serious condition. The suspected offender was shot by armed officers at 9:38 a.m, just minutes after police were alerted that a car had been driven at pedestrians and a man had been stabbed. Officers say he appeared to have suspicious items on his person, with reports of a vest containing wires. As a result, the bomb disposal unit has been deployed and remains on site. A white lorry marked bomb disposal has been seen behind the cordon, and there are also unconfirmed reports that the SAS helicopter has been sent to the area. Now, obviously, with this as well, we are seeing that police declared a major incident and initiated Operation Plateau, the national response code for a marauding terror attack. In a statement, GMP thanked a member of the public whose quick action allowed officers to move rapidly to prevent the attacker from entering the synagogue itself. It could have been a whole lot worse, but the police, of course, responding very, very quickly. Now, we talk about about the police and their response times in the United Kingdom, and we usually bring them down for it. But in this in particular incident and this in particular attack, the police have been spot on. And whilst they couldn't stop individuals, 2 people being killed, they managed to stop this from being a whole lot worse, especially as if this bomb is actually going to be confirmed as active. But we haven't got currently an update just yet with regard to that, because the bomb disposal team are still on the ground as we speak. Now, we do have some images. We're going to go over to X and have a look at all of the reaction. But of course, as you can imagine, a lot of this is taking up a lot of the media attention, of course, on social media. An absolute shocking attack that has come out. But this is this is, of course, some pictures from the scene after the attack. But this is the initial car. The car that rammed into them, and then the guy got out and then started to stab people. So, of course, it was an initial ramming attack followed by a stabbing attack. And this was the car from the ground. As you can see, that was the 2 people killed in attack, the police have confirmed. And then, of course, coming down here, we're starting to see this sort of armed police presence on the scene, along with the army bomb disposal team. Now, whilst we're live, we may get a further update with regard to if this bomb is actually going to be disposed of or if it was just a hoax. But the fact that they've been there for so long suggests that there is something more sinister and more serious behind this indeed. But let's go on to and have a little look at X and get some reaction from the ground itself. Go through what people are saying and get some reaction regarding this shocking attack in Manchester. Let's go over to the screen share. There we go. And let's jump on over. As you can see, this is taking up a lot of time. Now, this looks like the guy who was responsible for this. Again, he looks like the guy, as you can see, bald in the head, shaven, got a beard, and certainly looks, well, that looks like him. That's it. And you can see he has stuff attached to his person as well, which is why sort of police are, of course, getting really frustrated regard to it. Let's go down here. Let's have a look at some more. As you can see, there's more updates coming in as the minute. As we know, several people. This is what Tommy Robinson had to say about this. Make no bones about it, suspected Islamist terror attack on peaceful Jewish at their place of worship in Manchester is the consequence of Keir Starmer's regime allowing hate marches to take our streets following the October 7th massacre. After all that vile hatred, Starmer publicly give in to them. Blood on your hands. We've seen this, of course. It's been boiling for a lot of time. The sort of anti-Semitism that has been sort of coming together in the UK has been clear for everybody to see. We've seen them go on these sort of pro-Palestine marches and shout, sickening and vile things about Jewish people. And actually, I spoke in a recent live stream talking about my own, in particular, experience in London as I was driving in sort of towards Golders Green area. We went past the school on my way to play golf with a friend of mine, and we've seen a massive sort of private security presence outside Jewish schools. Now, London and Keir Starmer, we'll get to maybe his interview in a second, but he was coming back from Denmark, I believe, and he had a short interview outside as he was about to board the plane, and essentially stated that there is going to be a large security presence now in and around the sort of synagogues across the United Kingdom. But here's what Nigel Farage says. I'm horrified by the attack at a synagogue in Manchester today, particularly on Yom Kippur, the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. My thoughts and prayers are with the families of those affected and the Jewish community who will be suffering at this time. My thanks goes to the emergency services. It's clear to say we do a lot of barraging and a lot of criticizing the emergency services, especially the police in the United Kingdom, but in this in particular instance, they got that very quick. So credit where credit is due, and good to see them. As we've seen here, by the way, ISIS calls for slaughters of Christian and Jews in UK attacks, shoot, stab and ram. We've seen this as well. This was a report that, of course, came out earlier in the year, and I've actually seen stuff as well with regard to Hamas over the last 24 hours as well. 3 individuals had been arrested, but they were sort of emphasizing and telling people to attack Jewish communities and attack Jewish people and do their own attacks. this. So it's been coming. There has been the warning signs there. They have been coming for a very, very long time. We've seen it, and we've seen it sort of marinating in real time over the last few months. Robert Jenrick, of course, has said this: sickening news about the attack at a synagogue in Manchester. I'm praying that those who have been injured can make a full recovery. The police appear to have done an incredible job in stopping the attacker so swiftly. This will be a terribly painful moment for the Jewish community, even more so because it's the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. They must know the whole country stands with them. Let's have a little look at what GB News was saying.
It could have been. Thank you for having me. Yeah, it's a really devastating day. I think, as Sir Michael Ellis just said, this idea that we are shocked, but perhaps sadly not surprised that this has come to this. It's a completely devastating attack. And by the looks of things, you've reported on a potential device that the assailant appeared to be wearing. Perhaps it could have been worse. But I think what's important to say is today is Yom Kippur. It's the holiest day in the Jewish calendar. So synagogues up and down the country will be full. Many people in these synagogues won't have been on their phones. They won't be online today because it's a Jewish festival. So people are trying to work out who's affected, who's not affected. It's an incredibly scary day for everyone in the community.
Jane, we were talking just now about the level of threat that many, schools and synagogues and even Jewish businesses have felt recently. Has it been a level of threat? The Jewish Chronicle, have you had any threats that you're aware of against people of Jewish faith?
So I report on this day in, day out. Anti-Semitic incidents are happening up and down the country. Mostly, thankfully, they are not violent in this way. This is completely... I think the whole community will be reeling from this particular attack. We don't yet know who the victims are, but it's just completely devastating that it's led to blood being spilled on British streets and in a synagogue community as people are going to pray on the holiest day of the year. I think it's also worth pointing out that Jews are just 0.5% of the British population. We're a tiny minority. Our synagogues, as Tom pointed out, often are behind large fences. If you go to any Jewish community, there will be security outside. The CST, as Sir Michael said, protect us. They do an amazing job protecting us. But how many other communities need to have, protection outside like that? And we're seeing today why that is.
And I literally just said, I seen it in real time, literally 2 weeks ago. I think it was towards Golders Green in Brent Cross in London. I seen a Jewish school, it was covered in security. So they're definitely, of course, at a threat at this moment in time within the United Kingdom. And of course, you're just starting to see sort of anti-Semitic hate just being allowed to happen in the UK. It's just allowed to happen by these sort of protests. If you actually listen to the words that these individuals are saying, people like Bob Villan and all of these kind of things, you're hearing them say that what they think of Jewish people and what they want to do to them. So it's been coming for a very long time. One a day when the man was left of the film to foul Manchester synagogue attack. The man on the right works in the NHS UK. Our country is dying. What does this say? I'm a Muslim daily. I treat Jews and I have taken a hypocritical oath that outlines my responsibilities to the Buckingham crew. However, I must admit that if I had the power, I would vanish every Jew. Wow. See, this stuff is just allowed to be said on social media. It's just allowed nowadays, by the way. It really is. Let's see what's being said here.
Assets will be deployed at synagogues across the country after that suspected terror attack at a synagogue in Manchester. Speaking as he flew back to the UK from a summit in Denmark to chair an emergency COPA meeting, he says, we will do everything to keep our Jewish community safe. I've got to be honest with you. Prime Minister, I don't think you have done enough to keep our Jewish community safe. I think when you happily allow these pro-Palestinian marches on the streets, and yeah, the last government did too. I think it was a point when they were supportive of the Palestinian people and people in Gaza. They're just pro-Hamas marches. A lot of the people who organise them are very, very closely linked with the Hamas terrorists who launched the attack on October the 7th and still hold hostages right now, starved and beaten and tortured in tunnels under Gaza City and elsewhere. When so little is done, when pro-Palestinian activists are able to freely basically set off fireworks and act with impunity on our streets, as they did in London only last last night. If you look at my social feed, you'll see I've just retweeted some images of that. Not a police officer inside. When a Jewish man, Gideon Falter, is told off for walking along on one of these pro-Palestinian marches against the route of traffic and being told he has to leave because he's openly Jewish. When children who go to schools that are Jewish schools are told, don't wear your blazer. We don't want anyone to know you're Jewish. When every synagogue in this country has to have a guard outside, more than one guard outside because of the fear of attacks. When people are routinely being harassed in the street, on social media, in public, on public transport. Sorry, it's too late. It's too late, Prime Minister. And when you recognise a Palestinian state, the cause that has been used to justify so much of the, not anti-Zionism, not pro-Palestinian, not anti-Israel, but anti-Semitic views and opinions and attacks on our streets, you gave them succor. You basically said, carry on, we'll give you the reward. That's what you did. This is on you. This is on you, Prime Minister. So don't you bloody dare say we'll put police outside synagogues. You're one of the reasons why there need to be police outside synagogues. Don't you bloody dare saying you want to keep the Jewish community safe in this country when you're part of the reason of why they are not. Shame on you. Shame on you.
It's true. It's very true. I mean, he has literally just done that. He literally came out and said that Palestine, they recognize Palestine as a state, and they're giving into these individuals that have this anti-sort of Jew hatred within the country. Liam Truff says the gruesome terror attack at Manchester synagogue should come of no surprise. Hatred towards Jews has been allowed to amplify over the last 2 years. Hamas supporters have lost all fear to hide in the shadows and proudly roar their loathing in the streets across the country. Britain should be not subjected to this manifestation and of anger and violence. This could have been prevented if zero tolerance policy was taken on antisemitism in the UK. A targeted car ramming and stabbing on Yom Kippur is an act of purposeful evil. We should all be on high alert. History has proved that during holy Western moments, those that hate will strike for maximum effect and destruction. This way of life that Britain has been forced to desensitize itself to is completely unacceptable. Thoughts and prayers will never bring innocent lives back. We must prevent these attacks by ditching the cowardice Parliament is riddled with and start growing a backbone. Sadly, I have very little faith. Fuck anyone who emboldens these maniacs today. You have blood on your hands. Facts. And you're probably going to see the same sort of reaction that you've seen with regard to Charlie Kirk, actually, from these individuals with no sympathy, almost cheering it on. You're going to see it. We've got some sick people living amongst us. But yeah, this is why. Look at this. Now, of course, I do understand when people were talking about Palestine and all of these kind of things with the starvation of the babies and this. Look, I get that. But these marches have now become Hamas ideology. It's now become to a point where they're actually advocating supporting terrorism within our streets. Our government is also giving them our award. Hamas publicly came out and declared victory after Britain, Canada, Australia recognised Palestine as a state. So it's been happening and they've allowed it to happen, and the British government is complicit in it because you're pandering to the loudest voice. These people don't make the majority up. These pro-Palestine, I say pro-Palestine, people can have sympathy for the Palestinians. People can have sympathy for... I've got to be careful what I say because it really does, of course... people have their different assumptions and different opinions on this whole matter. I'm not sort of a pro-Israel guy, as everybody knows, and I'm definitely not pro-Palestine. But I understand that two sides are fighting a war, essentially. And again, I can sympathise with Israel being able to retaliate on those October 7th attacks. I understand it. I understand that Israel has the right to protect itself, but I also understand the situation with the innocent people. I'm not talking about Hamas. I couldn't give a fuck about Hamas, but I can also sympathise with what's happening in Gaza itself, with regard to innocent civilians that are currently there, especially the children and stuff like that. So I can sympathise from both sides. I understand it. But when we're getting to a point now where in the UK entirely, we also have individuals going in and now actively supporting Hamas and calling for the death of Jews on our streets, it's disgusting. And actually, 2 days ago, I literally reported on a story that was, that a guy had been arrested by police and taken to the station in the middle of the night because he shared that meme. You know, the famous meme? The one where it said sort of, fuck Hamas, fuck Islam, or fuck Palestine. Go, if you want to protest, go protest in your own country. So it's a double standard, it's a two-tier. He shares that meme, which didn't incite violence whatsoever. But you got people on the streets advocating and calling for the death of Jews in the streets. You got Bob Vylan doing it on live stages at Glastonbury, and all of a sudden that's allowed. There's no consequences for these individuals that chant this sick, disgusting stuff. But it's a two-tier British state that we currently live in. Okay, we're going through all of the same sort of stuff here. Let's see if there's any further updates with regard to this initial attack. Photo appears to show the attacker. Let's have a little look.
An image of the man who is believed to be the suspect. We can show it.
Yeah, dude, we already fucking knew that. Jesus fuck. Sky News are slow, aren't they? Breaking news 4 minutes ago. We know that photo already. What the fuck? Israel in the UK. The Embassy of Israel in the United Kingdom condemns the attack carried out today on Yom Kippur and the Heaton Hebrew Congregation Synagogue in Manchester, that such an act of violence should be perpetrated on the holiest day of the Jewish calendar in a place of prayer and community is abhorrent and deeply distressing. The Embassy is in close contact with Manchester Jewish community, British authorities and the Community Security Trust to monitor developments and ensure the necessary support is provided. We thank the Greater Manchester Police for their swift response. The safety and security of Jewish communities in the United Kingdom must be guaranteed. The thoughts and prayers of the people of Israel are with the victims, their families, and the entire Jewish community at this difficult time. Kemi Badenoch. This was a vile and disgusting attack on a synagogue in Manchester on Yom Kippur, the holiest day of the Jewish year. Families gathered in prayer were targets for violence. My heart goes out to all those hurt and affected. I know many in our Jewish community will feel shaken. They deserve to know they are not alone. Facts. So we know that the Prime Minister has issued a Cobra meeting as well, by the way. We know that a Cobra meeting has been announced. Only fours and horses. Patrick Murray dies at age 86. Shit. It's all so... Everything's so doom and gloom, isn't it? The King has shocked and attacked. So this is what Keir Starmer said. Let me try and find the video because that's a link to their website, I think. Yeah, here you go. Here's the video.
Absolutely shocking. And all of our thoughts are with those affected. I'm on my way back to London. When I arrive, I will chair an emergency Cobra meeting. I'm already able to say that additional police assets are being deployed to synagogues across the country, and we will do everything to keep our Jewish community safe. I've spoken to Mark Gardner of the CST and Andy Burnham, Mayor of Manchester, and I want to thank the emergency services for the speed of their response.
So yeah, that was on his way back, but he's going to be chairing, of course, an emergency meeting. COVID in 2025. What the hell? Jesus. I like GB News, but why are they sharing that shit on it? Zia Youssef. I'm horrified by the brutal attack at a synagogue in Manchester today on the holy day of Yom Kippur. My thoughts and prayers are with the victims, their families, and all of those affected. All of us at Reform stand with the Jewish community. I'm going to take some reaction from the live chat, ladies and gentlemen, and then we can see if there's going to be any further updates as the stream goes on. I'm not too sure where we're currently at with it. But we'll try and see if there's any more further updates. But yeah, guys, do let me know your thoughts on everything down there in the old live chat. Let's see what people are saying with this. I'm just going to, whilst we're letting the live chat load, I'm just going to see if there's a sort of live timeline, especially with that bomb disposal. We want to see whether that was a hoax, whether it was a real bomb, and all of these live Manchester attack. Let's have a little look. Live. So we know that 2 are dead. We know what the victim looks like. We know that 3 are in critical condition. I mean, I don't count the attacker, but we see the guys. I mean, the items around his thing. Shocking. Okay, so we haven't got a further update yet. We haven't got a further update just yet with the bomb as of yet. We know that bomb disposal are present. We know that bomb disposal are dealing with a unit. Lady says the bomb disposal unit was there. He had it attached to him. Yes, of course. That's what we know. That's why bomb disposal were there. We know that there is, of course, a bomb threat. However, with these attacks, you don't know if it was a real device. That's what I'm saying. So some people wear a bomb vest or something like this as a sort of, not a hoax, but it's a sort of fake one, right? Sounds ludicrous, right? But they do. So they have to actually examine to see if it actually is real. And then from there, you can do whatever. Urban Druid says Cobra meeting to make sure Islam is protected from retaliation. Well, the only religion that is protected within the United Kingdom is Islam. It is. You know, the Jewish community, whilst they make up 0.5% of the population, have no, I mean, it's a very minimal amount, but they have no protection whatsoever. You can literally be anti-Semitic within the UK and nothing will happen to you. But the moment you say fuck Hamas, the moment you say sort of fuck Palestine or fuck this, fuck that, the moment you say things about Islam, the whole world comes down onto you. I see Christian preachers, of course, getting arrested over the last day as well in Guildford for preaching. But that just wouldn't happen with that in particular religion. They're trying to bring in Islamophobia laws. They're trying to bring blasphemy laws against Islam within the UK. But the reason why, look, this is it. This is it. This is the reason why. Because they commit 80% of the terrorist attacks. Mash says, what a country we live in. It's so awful. Keir had blood on his hands. Deadeye Survivor says, called this years ago. Starmer is wrapped up in contradictions and complicity by recognizing Palestine and funding Israel. The weapons to destroy that idea. Playing with dangerous ideas is dangerous. Facts. Guys, can I be cheeky whilst we're live here? If you haven't already, hit the like button. Please do. Hit the subscribe button as well. We're trying to get to 1,000 likes. That'd be absolutely amazing. So do hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. And most importantly, I am praying for the families. But thoughts and prayers aren't enough. I've been reporting a lot on the channel about terror attacks and things happening across the globe, and I said, you know, we haven't really seen too much of it in the UK over the last year as such in terms of actual terror attacks or terror incidents. However, it's going to have been coming, and this one you feel has been brewing for a very, very long time, but the government are always constantly ignoring it. And I said it after the Charlie Kirk assassination. You know, left-wing terrorism is the form of terrorism that the establishment has been ignoring for a very, very long time. And whilst this one looks like an Islamist, and he has his own ideologies with regard to it, these pro-Palestine people that are openly supporting terrorists and openly supporting Hamas on the streets, this is something that the British government have ignored for a very long time. Disband the BBC. Does anyone remember that policeman saying, put your weapons back in the mosque, please, during the South Stockport riots? Yeah, that was last year. Yeah, No, I do remember that. But this is what we're saying. With there's only one religion. There's one religion that is protected in the UK, and that is literally only Islam. Everything else just can go by the wayside with regard to the British establishment. They don't protect anything else. Wee Fat Shug says, don't let this atrocity make you forget the recent scandals of our so-called government. Well, fortunately or unfortunately for them, they're constantly wrapped up in different scandals. They have new things every single day. New things pop up every single day. And then from there, you know, they just have something to everyone's views just go onto a different sort of subject, because there's always something new coming out. I just want to see this bomb disposal stuff. If there is any update with this yet, with the bomb disposal, we need to see if it was a real one. An army bomb disposal unit. Wow. So they're still at the scene. That's all we know so far, is that they're still at the scene. We've got no further update on if they're actually. Yeah. Islamophobia doesn't exist, neither does Christianophobia. There is no phobia. It's not a phobia. You're right, there is nothing. But it's still this almost protected thing. You know, the way the UK government goes about things in when it comes to Islam, and the way they tread around Islam is simply weird. You know, they treat these individuals as if they're an endangered species that we're protecting in the wild. You know, it's not that bad. I would actually go as far to say that anti-Semitism is far worse in the UK as a whole right now than anyone being anti-Islam. Most of it is towards anti sort of Jew hate, and I in fact know people now as well that have kind of got, I suppose they get brainwashed by certain things. Look, again, I'm not going to come out and speak about my whole ideologies on all of these things, but especially with Israel and Palestine, I have a different standpoint probably of where most British creators are on the right are. Now, I'm not fully fledged, I'm Israel till I die or anything like this. I'm very much Britain first with everything I do, and I do see two sides of the coin. But it doesn't mean that people should be getting killed. And as I said, Israel does have the right to, of course, defend itself, and does have its own right to, of course, retaliate. They've obviously got hostages currently stored under Gaza that are currently being starved and currently being treated in the most abhorrent ways. And they have a right to eliminate this terrorist organization in Palestine. But at the same time, now whether you want to see it, now I don't know, I don't pretend I'm fully clued up on everything in this sort of conflict. But what we do see with the way that the children are being treated, the innocents in Palestine, I do understand people's outrage with regard to that. I do understand. Now, you don't have to pick a side to understand that two sides, you know, about the two sides, but it's about just trying to, I suppose, understand as much as you can. But I'm personally not fully fledged on a side. I hate fucking Hamas. I really hate Hamas, and they should not be running anything. They should not be running a country, and what they are doing, they're a terrorist organization. But at the same time, there has to be something done about what's happening on the West Bank and what's happening with the innocent people within Gaza. But then again, I do believe that Hamas are complicit in it. When we're talking about all of the aid that goes their way from all of these countries in Palestine, you've, of course, I think that their most wealthiest people, the guys that were living in Qatar, I think got eliminated recently actually, but a lot of them are billionaires. because they're taking the aid and not giving actually to the people that are currently starving that you see in those images on the ground. You know, they're profiting for themselves. The thing I see with Palestine, whilst they always, the saying goes is that they don't have enough food, and people are being starved, they always have enough to fight back, don't they? They always have enough money for ammunition, bullets, explosives, but the people don't have enough money to necessarily eat. So I do believe that Hamas are complicit in the starvation on what we see that is getting sort of pushed into our mainstream media of what we're seeing. I do think Hamas are most certainly complicit on what they're doing in Gaza and the starvation and what's happening in and around Gaza. But Israel does have to, of course, have some responsibility with it. Now, I'm not saying that they can't defend themselves. I'm not saying that they can't take out a terrorist organization. But, you know, what we see, some of the videos and what we've seen with regard to innocence, then, of course, I don't stand by that whatsoever. But that's okay. I don't pick anything. I just want peace in that area. I think Israel should be able to have its own land in Israel. And then, you know, from around there, the Jewish people only have one place to live, and that's Israel since sort of 1947. And I know all of this dates back for a very, very long time. And I don't pretend that I'm an expert on it. But, yeah, certainly. I suppose that's where I sort of stand on it. I'm certainly not... I'm not like a Zionist or anything like that, but then again, I'm not anti-Semitic. I'm very just neutral, as a British person would be. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna have a little look in a second. Let's see. Danny says, you call Hamas terrorists for protecting their people. If that was English people, you'd call them soldiers. Yeah, but I don't think they are. They are. They have got the Palestinians, the Palestinian people's interest at their heart. They don't. We see a lot of money through aid go towards Palestine. You see it all the time. There's loads of money being raised. And why are the sort of top officials or the top people within Palestine that were living in Qatar, why are they all billionaires? Why like the top 10 got crazy, insane net worths personally? You know, I think they do take they take the aid and they want to carry on this aid. And sometimes I believe a lot of it can be a propaganda machine. Not everything. Again, I know this gets people emotional on both sides. I don't like to stand in the middle of everybody. As I said, my main sort of concern as a person is my own country, you know, the UK. That's what I'm passionate about. I'm British. And I don't pretend that I'm clued up on everything. But then again, you just see so much information on social media coming from this way, with the whole sort of Gaza and Israel thing. You got to take in and the thing. I don't fully fledged support for anything. I don't pretend I know enough. But I try and research a little bit, and I can see the bad in both, but I cannot see the good at all in what Hamas are doing. I can't see it. You can't persuade me to say that Hamas are a good organization. I just could never, ever see that. They're terrorists. I see what you're doing there, Raspberry Treacle. Danny says, if Hamas steal the aid and they're rich, why are they still not there living the high... I mean, they are. The leaders are. They live in Qatar. They live in Qatar. Now, I'm not... totally clued up with everything, and to be fair, we're going on a bit of a tangent here, but you know, wasn't there just an operation with Israel recently where they bombed somewhere in Qatar and took out a lot of their leaders? They live in Qatar, a lot of their leaders. Look, research it yourself. Have a look at the top Hamas leaders' net worths, and you'll be dumbfounded by it. So you got like Khalid Mashal and Ismail Hanek each have net worths of around $4 billion, $3 billion. You're right, mate, and that's why I'm probably going to be moving on. That's why I'm going to be moving on. But I feel like I've made my own sort of. Yeah, I've done enough. I suppose I've done enough research, and I don't pretend I'm an expert on the subject, guys. And to be honest, I'm Britain first. I care about my own country. We've got a lot of problems. But then, of course, I can't. That doesn't mean I don't sympathise with other nations and other countries. I do keep an eye on what's going on, and made my own assumption as time went on as well. But Guy, let's probably call it there unless there's a further update. We've been live for a little while. If there's any more further updates with regard to this bomb, then be sure I'll let you know. But as we're finishing this live stream right now, I do believe... Oh, here we go. Breaking news. There we go. Breaking news. A loud controlled explosion has just been heard at the police cordon. So here we go. Breaking news. The bomb disposal unit are said to be understood at the scene. A loud controlled explosion has just been heard at the police cordon. So an explosion has happened. The bomb disposal have, of course, detonated the device. A loud explosion has been heard, and of course it does look as though that it was a real device, unless they were just exploding something up anyway. But regardless, it does look like the bomb disposal have dealt with this device, as a loud explosion has been heard at the scene. So that's some breaking news as we're just live right now, ladies and gentlemen. A loud explosion has been heard. A loud explosion has been heard at the scene. We've got a super chat here. Israel has the lowest combatant to civilian ratio in the global history of warfare. No country has ever done so much to protect the enemy civilian population. By the way, I know there's going to be a lot of pro-Israeli in here as well, and shout out to you guys. I'm very much I'm not anti-Semitic whatsoever. I believe Israel does have the right to protect itself, and yeah, so yeah, I suppose taking out terrorists is a good thing. But at the same time, I do think what we're seeing, the scenes that we're seeing in Gaza, and the things with the innocent civilians, and of course the children, the babies, is not something that I want to see, and Israel does bear some responsibility with that, of course. But troops, thank you so much for tuning in. The latest we have, and I think that's got to the kind of end of it right now, is that a loud controlled explosion has just been heard at the police cordon in Crumpsbull. The bomb disposal unit are understood to be at the scene. And yeah, we've kind of got, I suppose, to the end. So we'll find out what the device was. But certainly this could have been a whole lot worse if the emergency services didn't get to it at the time. But guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hit like.